Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today I thought I would do something a little different. It is, of course, the holiday season as I am recording this, 2024, and part and parcel to the holiday season in the Pittsburgh area where I live. We have a number of comic chains who slash prices on their dollar bin books to 50 cents. Chief among them is New Dimension Comics with a number of stores in the Pittsburgh area. So I thought it would be fun, as I've been doing a lot of dollar bin diving or 50-cent bin diving for this next few weeks anyway, to look at the comics that I buy over and over again, because for a buck, or in this case for 50 cents, I just can't pass them up, and they meant so much to me over the years. Many of these comics, some of these comics I'm going to show here, I should say, I've already covered on the show, so I won't linger too long on them, but I just thought it would be fun to quickly go through a few comics that, whether it's $1 or 50 cents, I buy every time I see them, and they come home with me. They sit around the house in various strategic locations where I sit or hang out, so I can just kind of grab them and paw through them at my leisure. Sometimes they'll make their way into a little free public library in the area, or I'll gift them to someone who I know would appreciate them. But more often than not, I've got 3, 4, 5 copies of these books just floating around the house in various locations, waiting to be read or waiting to be gifted to someone. So I just thought I would go through them. Just a fun little departure from the usual format on the show. And we'll start with a book I haven't covered on the show, but I probably really should in detail. Iron Man Annual number 7. As a side note, whether it's 50 cents or $1, I love getting a dollar bin book that's double-sized, because I feel like I'm getting a twofer. And this one is spectacular. Iron Man Annual number 7, published in 1984 by Marvel. Has fantastic Bob Harris story where Eric Jostin, the former Power Man, former smuggler, becomes the new Goliath, and he receives a treatment similar to that of Wonder Man, and we get fantastic Luke McDonnell pencils with, I believe, Aiken and Garvey inks on this one, not the usual Steve Mitchell inking. Luke McDonnell was the regular Iron Man penciler at this time, and I'm slowly on the show going through that epic run. But I just want to focus on the few pages of the origin of the new Goliath. Here's Jostin down on his luck. Love it. He's in, obviously, a very seedy part of L.A. That's where this story mainly takes place. And we get his meeting with Carl Malice, who is it's kind of similar to the Tinkerer, but more of a scientist, a biophysicist, versus the Tinkerer being like a mechanical engineer, supplying and advising the villains of the Marvel Universe at this time with his scientific know-how. I love these recaps that we get. It's really cool to see an artist like Luke McDonnell reinterpret classic characters like the Enchantress and the old Avengers and Power Man in his original uniform. And I just love, I'm a sucker for recap. I could do a whole show, and probably should, on these recap sequences that occur in comics. So yeah, it's really great. This initial transformations panel with this open panel showing the size change is just awesome. Of course, he betrays Malice and goes kind of crazy, drunk on his power. And it's great. The fights involve Wonder Man, Iron Man, Hawkeye. I love Wonder Man in the safari jacket. Should probably do a whole show on that too. Sure to stir up an internet controversy. Just go on any forum and say how much you love Wonder Man in the safari jacket. People will lose their minds. But I do. It's my favorite Wonder Man costume. Anyway, Iron Man Annual 7, must buy every time. Next up, it was the issue that launched this show. I won't spend a ton of time on it. Legion of Superheroes 298. And the reason I love this one is just, this is peak Keith Giffen, Larry Malstedt art on the Legion. To me, this is the height of their run. It's even post Great Darkness Saga. I think they had more heights to reach, and this is where they do it. I love this. Is my favorite version of Block. It's like the perfected version of Block, who's one of my favorite Legionnaires, easily in my top 3. This was one of the first issues that I started buying the title regularly off the rack. I had got issues in Whitman sampler bags prior to that, or at the barber shop, coverless, things like that. Newsstand issues that had been stripped. But yeah, like I said, covered this one on the show before. Another thing about this one, this is again that kind of double-sized issue because you get the Amethyst preview pullout. And I love Amethyst. I love that original 12-issue maxi series. So good. Really cool. And yeah, so this one is another one of those two-firsts for me. So yeah, Legion of Superheroes $2.98. Must buy in the dollar bin. Another one I've covered on the show, Marvel Superheroes featuring the Incredible Hulk. Number 80, I buy this thing every time. I own probably 6 copies of this right now. And again, they're secreted in various spots around the house. I just love it. I had this as a kid, traded it with my friend Sean, and it was just, it was something about the cover and Goliath, Hawkeye as Goliath on the cover, and just the nature of it. I mean, it's just so awesome. And reprints Hulk 128, which I now own that one as well. So I own this in several versions. And of course, as I've talked about on the show before, these issues of Marvel Superheroes were all edited down because they had to lose one page of the story. So there's actually a page of story missing from this. But as kids, we didn't know the difference, and they did such a good job hiding it. And yeah, totally awesome. Classic, all trimpy artwork here. Really good. Marvel Superheroes, number 80, must buy in a dollar bin. This one, not in particular, but as a specimen of this particular run of Marvel Tales, the 190s, they were reprinting the Claremont Byrne Marvel team-ups in here. So if you love Byrne, like I love John Byrne, and there's some great Dave Hunt inks in this as well, I think. Yeah, Dave Hunt inking. Any of these issues in the 190s, the only downside to these is they're that flexographic printing process, but they were sort of getting the handle on it by this time, so it's not too bad. And man, you want to see some early Byrne before he hits his peak in the X-Men, but still incredibly solid. This is it right here. And again, for 50 cents or $1, these are must-buys. Any of these Marvel Tales from 190 to 200 or so. Just open them up. You'll know right away if it's Byrne or not. Next up, another one I've covered on the show. New Teen Titans number 29. This cover grabs me every time I see it flipping through a dollar bin. I grab it. It's so incredible. Again, I had read Titans prior to this, but this is the first issue that I had walked into the soda shop, Joe's Place it was called, in my particular neighborhood in Pittsburgh. And along with my malted milkshake, I picked up this particular issue along with a couple other ones. It might have been an issue of Legion 2 that day that I picked up. But yeah, this is peak Perez, Wolfman, Titans. Really good. Just transcendently good, actually. And this, I've talked about this before on the show. As a little, kind of a tubby little kid, this scene was transformational for me. The idea that you could remake yourself. And really, it launched me into a lifetime of pursuit of fitness, which was great. And it's allowed me to do so many other things in my life. So it's great to revisit that, and I will every time I see it. Anytime I see this in a dollar bin, it gets bought. This has been in little libraries around the city, thanks to me. Next up, you want to talk about another fantastic Byrne comic, XMen Classic 46, and its companion issue 45. This is the tail end of the John Byrne run on Uncanny X-Men. And this, of course, is the Alpha Flight Wendigo story. So, really great stuff. And again, this is the flexographic printing process, but it's been perfected. And of course, this particular copy that I got from a dollar bin is pretty defective. So this one will eventually make its way into a little library. I'm sure someone else will appreciate it. And guess what? I'm going to see this again in a dollar bin or a 50-cent bin, and I'm going to buy it again. Because this one is a no-brainer to grab. Just really cool. XMen Classic 46. Must buy from the dollar bin. And finally, another one I've covered on the show in the past. King Conan number 18. King of the Freaks. This is a fantastic issue because it is my favorite Conan artist, Rudy Nebres, doing pencils and inks. And I always use the adjective lush when I talk about Rudy Nebres because that is what his art is to me. It's incredibly lush, full, detailed. In some ways, Neil Adams-like, but it has its own unique flair to it. And I have a copy of this too that I think I mentioned before is signed by Rudy Nebres. I do treasure it. It's through all my trials and tribulations over the years, I have never parted with that issue, and so I'm so glad that I still have it in my collection. But when I see one in the dollar bin, I grab it because I like to have extras laying around just to, throw around and to give out to folks who I think would appreciate it because this is a fantastic Conan story, King Conan story that should be enjoyed by as many fans as possible. Look at that open panel there, totally awesome. Yeah, and I've covered this one on the show before. It's a sad story. Oh, love this John Byrne house ad for all the Marvel comics he's drawn. Really cool. That'd be a great poster. Just really nice. So, yeah, quick one today. Just a quick flip through those books that are always going to be must-buys in any stack of dollar books that I come across in my travels. 50-cent books this week at New Dimension. So yeah, what are books that you can't pass up if you do any dollar bin diving? Share them. Let me in the comments. Let me know. And yeah, I appreciate you watching. And I'll bring you more soon on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks.